What's up, everybody? My name's Taylor Thompson. I'm a real estate agent and investor out here in Denver. I absolutely love the city and the mountains, and I'm looking forward to being on here.
Excellent. Taylor, welcome to the Invest in Denver podcast, man. It's a honor to have you here. And I mean, what honestly keeps you here in Denver? It's obvious. I know a little bit more about you than the typical person does. I know you were born and raised here, but what keeps you here in Denver?
Honestly, maybe just because I was born and raised here, it makes me want to stay here. I mean, I love the whole area, and I feel like if I go move somewhere on the coast, going to go visit the coast feels less like a vacation, I guess. So I particularly just love Colorado, and I don't really see myself going anywhere else.
Smart move, man. I honestly moved here from the coast to Denver, and I don't think I'm moving anytime soon, man. I like to tell people that it's the West Coast vibes with the Midwest hospitality. It's a nice
Definitely.
blend of mid blend or nice blend of all these different cool attitudes. So, nonetheless, man, I'm really excited to have you here, and it's an honor and a privilege. I know a lot of your story already, but let's hear about like quick series of events of like maybe of course how old you are because you're on the younger side, but like what type of schooling you went to and what sort of got to where you are right now. Just a very general approach.
Yeah. So I'm currently 20. I have two house hacks that are around Denver, and so I kind of got introduced to real estate my senior year in high school. I had a substitute teacher was that retired like in his late 30s from real estate and does just substitute teaching on the side, and so that kind of was my first introduction, and then what actually really got me into real estate is actually Monopoly, the board game, which is kind of funny. I was like totally dominating at Monopoly. I'm still undefeated to this date. And so I kind of knew that Monopoly was real estate stuff. And so my senior year, my plan was to get into firefighting right as I get out of school. And so the more that I got into learning about real estate, then I decided to actually take the gap year off. And so my kind of plan was, okay, I'm going to take this gap year off. I'm going to learn as much as I can about real estate, figure out exactly what I want to do, and save up as much money as I can. And so, I started listening to all the podcasts, watching a ton of YouTube videos, reading all the books, going to networking meetups, talking to people, asking questions, just kind of being like a sponge for probably the first like 6 months out of high school. And so that eventually all set me onto house hacking, and that also introduced me to Craig Kurlop, which is the author of the house hacking book. And so he kind of guided me through the ropes a bit on kind of where I should be, kind of what should I be doing now to kind of get my uh, first place. And so my goal was to buy my first house before I was 20. And so during my year gap off, I got into wholesaling to get some real estate experience and also save up some money. And so I did do a few wholesale deals, which was great experience, kind of reading contracts and all that, and also helped me fund my down payment. We were kind of my girlfriend and we were doing a bunch of side hustles. We're like flipping couches, and I was also a full-time delivery driver, and I was living with my parents because I was only 18, and so I had like zero expenses, so I was able to save like 90% of my income. And so, year after being fully graduated, like on the same month, that's when I closed on my first house. So once I had around about like 40,000 saved up, I told Craig, let's start searching for a place and get something under contract. And so, it was a pretty stressful process. But everything's worked out great so far. And Kind
Yeah,
of a brief like cap of how I got introduced to real estate.
love it, man. And I know with like you coming right out of high school and jumping right into the real estate game, it's hard to identify almost as anything else, right? Do you consider yourself mainly as that initial title of like, yeah, I'm an investor?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, and my kind of plan was to first buy my first house and then use that cash flow to pay for my firefighting and EMT school, about like 10,000 give or take for all of it. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna buy the house first and then use the house to pay for the schooling.
I love it, dude. And a lot of people consider it to be a liability. And, with buying a house, buying your primary residence, and I'm sure you've read either Rich Dad Poor Dad or some other book that's alike of it. With Robert Kiyosaki considering the primary residence as a liability, you somehow made it turn into an asset. Let's delve into that a little bit more, and then we'll go reverse and sort of like Tarantino it, like just go into the present case right now, and then we'll go
Sure.
back to like how you even started that mindset going forward. So, since we're on that train already, how did you utilize a liability like a house and turn it into an asset?
So what my girlfriend and I did is we bought a four-bedroom house that we converted into six bedrooms, and we live in one room and rent out all five others. And then after all expenses, we were like cash flowing like around like 600 or $700 a month while living there. And so it just like made complete total sense. Like I was wanting to move out of my parents' house anyway, so I was either, well, I'm gonna move out and start renting a place, or I could do this and then live for free, cash flow a little bit, and then a year later move out, and then now have a full cash flowing property that I can now use that for the next one and next one.
And for those uninformed, what is house hacking?
Yeah, so house hacking is basically where there's like multiple ways to do it, but basically you buy, usually the typical ways you buy like a duplex and you rent out the other side, and hopefully that covers majority, if not all, of your expenses. And now that you have your expenses lowered, it can increase your savings rate to buy the next property. And then it also kind of the main reason why people house hack is because for your typical property, you normally need, minimum of 15, 20, sometimes 25% down payment. But if you just live there for 12 months, you can put as low as 3.5%. That's what really set me on house hacking, I think, because it's just a lot less of a barrier to entry.
But Taylor, I had no idea I could put less than 20% down. That is crazy to me. So you're telling me I could buy a $500,000 property for what? 15-ish grand, not including closing costs? Is that the case?
Yep, yep, and we got all of our closing costs covered. So,
How in the world did you even get that like negotiated?
my agent was pretty awesome because I wasn't an agent myself at the time, and so my agent was Chad. He was a previous guest on here, I believe. So he really helped out on all of that. Yeah, at the time I didn't even know you could do that, and once inspection came back, he came back really good. But even though it came back really good, we still negotiated, and I was like, oh, it's genius. It'll save us some money up front.
Yeah, and I love how Chad just has that that little bit extra push that he likes to give to his clients. It's kind of nice nowadays with the state of the market, I guess, fluxing more towards the buyer side, and sellers are still trying to get top dollar for from Q1 and Q2 of 2022. Here we are in a completely different market, in my opinion, and you were still able to negotiate those things even during the heat of like maybe a hotter seller's market than it is right now. So I often title Chad as Giga Chad because that dude is able to. I mean, like he's a legend in my book already.
Yeah.
So he's
Yeah,
definitely
we did offer 40 grand above their asking price, so it's not like we were super heavy on negotiations.
for sure. Nice, man. I mean, let's delve into that a little bit more before we go back in time. So as of right now, you said it was a 4-bed, 2-bath place, and where is it
Three
located?
bet.
3-bed.
City of North Glen. It's about 20 minutes north of downtown Denver.
Okay. And sorry, it was a 3 bed, 2 bath?
No, it was a 4 bedroom, three full bathroom house. One of them's a master private bath, and then another full on the upstairs, and then another full in the basement.
And that's the power of real estate, guys. I mean, being able to buy a property with 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, and you're cash flowing off of this place, it's insane to me that people don't do this anymore. Because I remember when I was in college over in Santa Cruz, the Bay Area of California, I was living with 4 other people and I did not even own the property. And I was like, why am I paying like $800 just for a bedroom? You know, why not just
Yeah,
own this property and still live the way I'm living right now and as frugal as
exactly.
possible? Yeah, kind of insane, man. And that's something that I'd like to keep a bookmark on as far as the frugality portion of it, because a lot more people just don't want to get frugal and maintain their lifestyle. They want to have that lifestyle creep. So I'll put a bookmark
Especially
on
when they're
that. But
18.
yeah, when they're 18 for sure. And you were mentioning that you were driving, doing deliveries, and working a full time at the moment, right? Or at that time?
Yeah, yeah, wholesaling, flipping couches, kind of some other helping out on whatever little things that we could go do on.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go back in time now. As far as like with school and, with that substitute teacher sort of paved the way to give you that mindset of, hey, there's more to life than just having to work till 65 years old. The guy was retired in his 30s and doing substitute teaching at the time. So, what exactly did he instill in you, or at least spark some of that interest into real estate?
Yeah, honestly, it wasn't really much of him. I kind of was like, oh, that's pretty cool, and then I just like went on with my day. And then a few months later, that's when and then I saw a YouTube video pop up, and it's like the different ways to make money in real estate. And I watched that, and I was like, wow, this is awesome. Because I've always been kind of interested in being like a business owner, but just like kind of like creating a business, it just all seemed like so complicated to me. But then once I got introduced to real estate, I was like, wow, it seems so simple. You just buy a house, rent it out, cash flow some bit, and rinse and repeat. It's super predictable. It's been real estate's been around since like the dawn of time, and so it's just like it just made so much sense to me. Like once I started reading the books and all that, I just like, why isn't everybody talking about this? And I try to explain it a lot to my other friends that were around my age, and just like nobody just like clicked on like kind of how I did with it.
Why do you think that is? Do you think it's just because no one else that is their age is doing that? Or do you think that it just seems so pie in the sky? There's no way I can attain this? Why do you think that they were so adverse against that?
I think just because like kind of how the school system is, like there's not one word mentioned about any sort of early retirement or investing or business. At least in the high school that I went to Frederick High School, and that's where I graduated. I feel like that's probably one of the main reasons, and then also just maybe it's kind of scary to take on a mortgage that you're not even living in. And there's always like the horror stories of the old landlords, or like people telling somebody not to get into real estate because your tenants will destroy your house.
Yeah, that's the only kind of stories that you hear when you start to get into real estate. Like Uncle Tom lost his shirt in real estate. Don't you ever do that
Yeah,
ever again.
yeah, yeah. I was
But
told multiple times like don't get into real estate, and so I was like, well, these guys, they're doing awesome. I just kept with it.
yeah. What do you want to say to all the haters out there that wanted to prove you that there's no way a 19-year-old can purchase their first house?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just happy that I was able to do it. I'm really grateful that everything went well and accordingly. But I'm still advising anybody, even my haters, to get into real estate just because it'll really be life changing.
Love it, dude. I mean, that's the thing. Like, I that question was definitely made in jest, but I'm glad that you turned it around on me and said like, hey, I want even the haters to come out on top here. Like, I want them to experience what I've been experiencing, and just get that same cash flow and live for free potentially on their next house. So I freaking love it already. As far as like you wanting to get into school as a firefighter, and I know I'm sort of skipping a lot more of your story, but I'm curious about this. If you were to not invest in real estate first and buy your first house hack, do you think you would have gone that route as a firefighter?
Yeah, I probably would have just started working at a fire department right out of high school. It's still my plan right now. I'm still in fire school. And I'm still set on doing it, but not until I'm 60, that's for sure. But I just, I gotta go out and do it at least for a few years at this point. I just kind of thought about it, I was like, I can be in real estate for my whole life, but I can't really do firefighting for when I'm older. So
That's right. Unless you're what captain of the I'm
yeah,
not even sure what the
yeah,
positions are.
So, but yeah, no, I'm still set on it. It's still like it's also a really flexible schedule. I only work like when I do get hired, my full-time position, I'll work only about like 2 days every 10 days. And so it's going to be super flexible with real estate. And so I do actually know some real estate investors that are firefighters that have dozens and dozens and dozens of units. And so, it's everyone I talk to, they say that they love their job at it. It's probably the only job that I hear of that. Everyone
Yeah.
else talking about how much they hate their job.
And I think that's kind of the point I want to drive home, right? With you finding more assets and generating that passive income, you're able to be a little bit more flexible and choose jobs that you want to be a part of or that you want to work with the hours that you want to work, with whomever you want to work. So with firefighting, it's not always a luxury to choose it. And even though your answer was much better than I expected, it's far as I was trying to get at, if you were not able to find an asset like that where you can live for free and generate income off of it, you might have looked at other positions that you were not as passionate about just to make that income and make the salary and just to pay the bills, right? Yeah, is that something that I mean, yeah, I'll keep it at that. So yeah, where are you doing this firefighting school?
It's in Aurora. Like maybe 30 minutes east of downtown Denver. But I did do my EMT schooling up by Greeley. That's like probably like almost an hour away from Denver North, for those that don't know. I lived in Longmont my whole life, and so I did EMT school while I lived in Longmont. And then now that I'm down more by Denver, I'm trying to stick to that area.
I see. Do you have any recommendations for someone that wants to get into firefighting school? Is there any expectations that sort of blew your mind when you started doing the firefighting thing and things that were not what you expected?
Definitely a little bit more physically demanding than you would think. But at least in Colorado, it's not actually a super high barrier of entry, which is also why I got into firefighting, because I only needed like 2 semesters worth of schooling, and then I'm ready to go. Not like a 4 year or even longer sort of college degree. If it was that long, I probably wouldn't be doing it. I would be just doing real estate full time.
So let's get into the whole travel hacking and traveling portion of it. I know with I follow you on Instagram, and you did a pretty cool trip over to the Oregon coast not too long ago. And man, I am jealous. Even though I was born and raised on the West Coast, I have made that trip several times. But I think the most I'm jealous of is that you were able to see the coast without any fog or clouds.
Oh yeah, it was perfect. It was perfect.
So jealous.
Y-
But yeah,
Yeah,
what
so
made you want to do that trick or trip?
yeah, just Oregon itself. I mean, it's Oregon, you gotta go see Oregon. It's awesome. But yeah, for those that don't really know what like travel hacking or like credit card hacking is basically where a lot of these credit card companies, if you spend a certain amount within the first few months of opening the card, they'll give you like a sign-on bonus. And so a lot of them are like 75,000 points, And so kind of depending on how valuable they are between like bank to bank, but like some people have booked like $20,000 first class flights for only 40,000 points, and so the value of these can really range, but basically what you do is you just keep getting these credit cards that got these sign-on bonuses, and you get the sign-on bonus, and then you can use those towards flights or hotels or rental cars. And so my girlfriend and I, we have a week-long trip to Cancun this December, and so we were able to get both of our round trip flights 100% covered. This really luxury 4-star resort with waterfront view, also 100% covered, a rental car 100% covered. And if you can get those three costs 100% covered, then traveling is super cheap. And so these are also like higher end on the side of things. We're not picking the very cheapest that we can do. But in kind of simple terms, yeah, it's basically where you just apply for a card that's got a big sign-on bonus. Um, and they're usually something like the most important thing about travel hacking is the one that I just did. You have to spend $4,000 within the first 3 months, and so the really really important thing is just spend that 4,000 on your normal things that you would pay for, like your groceries, gas. We charge like our utility bills and things like that on our properties on there, and miscellaneous things that come up. It's just like it's really important not to go out of your way to buy things that you wouldn't buy. There's like some creative ways to hit the sign-on bonus, but just like spend your money on what you normally would, just put it on that credit card, and then you'll get a big point bonus within the few first months.
That's awesome, man. I know with me and the things that I get from, certain mail or certain, I don't know, things that I usually shred or throw away, it's almost like, Southwest Airlines, here's 100,000 points or something like that. And I
Yeah.
feel like that's almost random. Is there any way that you can actually seek out some of these deals and actively look for certain credit cards or programs that give you these comps?
Yeah, you could just honestly Google it. I mean, a lot of these banks really promote because it's kind of like the bank's logic is we're gonna try to incentivize them to get this credit card for this big sign-up bonus, and we're just hoping that they're irresponsible with their money, and now we can rack up a ton of interest on them and make a bunch of money. But as long as you spend your money right, it actually makes a lot of sense, and you kind of think like, why are these banks giving out all these giant bonuses? You kind of some people think like, there's some sort of like trick that the bank's pulling on you or something, but it's a completely legit thing, and some people travel full time for basically free, just simply doing this over and over.
So Cancun, you definitely have comped. Was there any other trips that you found severely discounted just because of all these points?
No, I mean you can use the flights or hotels anywhere. We just particularly wanted to go to Cancun because there's also a relatively pretty cheap area as well. It's just a really nice area that we just want to go to. But like some banks like aren't as valuable as others because like I have like a US bank card. That one's like okay. It's like I have 50,000 points, but it's only worth $500. But I have this Chase credit card where I could probably book a $5,000 flight for only 50,000 points versus the US bank points worth being only $500. So there's certain banks that are worth like the points are worth more. And just watching some like simple YouTube videos, there's thousands of videos talking about like the best cards that are currently at the moment that I would recommend watching.
Yeah, and when I first heard about travel hacking, it was through Sarah Weaver of Bigger Pockets and her own medium term rentals and all that good stuff, if you're
Yeah,
familiar with her as well.
yeah,
Big advocate for that stuff. And I know that she does a lot of work while she travels. And I'm sure that she's able to write off a lot of these trips just because she's working while on these trips.
yeah.
So I'm wondering if that's something that you, as a current realtor, and we'll get to that later too, have looked into or at least talked to a tax strategist about.
I haven't, but that actually sounds like a really good idea.
That's a point for you, man. That's for free. Nice, dude. With so if you were to recommend someone to, I don't know, follow a certain YouTube channel or a certain point or a tip, uh, we don't have to continue on the travel hacking points, not too much more longer, but if they were to look outside of this podcast, what resource would you guide them to?
Yeah, I really like he's a YouTuber and also TikToker. His name's John Finance Tips. Kind of younger guy, but yeah, he's got like over 4 million points. He's kind of the master at this stuff, and so he's constantly posting videos like the best cards of August 2022, and he breaks them all down really heavily.
John E Finance, yeah? The blonde hair guy?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think.
You can put it in like the show notes.
Yeah, for sure. I'll definitely put it in the description for sure. Because I need to follow. Well, I do follow him. I just forget to that's even a thing, and I'm so used to that. All right, got to rack up those Southwest miles just using that card, and I forget about those sign-on bonuses, and that seems to be the easiest way to get as many points as possible all at once. So at any points during your travel hacking career, if you want to call it that, do you find that keeping track of all these cards is a nuisance, or do you have to reuse some of them every once in a while?
No, pretty much once we just get the sign-on bonus and we spend it, I just cancel the card. I don't really need it anymore, unless if it's like a card that actually, there's certain cards that give you points if you spend money on certain things, and some of them can actually be pretty good. And so like one that I really like is just the Chase Sapphire Preferred. It's like one of the most common cards. But not really. I mean, I only have like five or six. I mean, some people have like over 100, and I mean at that point it's like you gotta kind of manage it a little bit. Um, but like once you kind of drain out the points, you pretty much just cancel it and move on to the next card. You don't really have any use for it anymore unless if there's a particular reason why you think that card is worth keeping around. Because some of these cards do have annual fees. Some of these can have like $100 annual fee, and so kind of the important thing, if you want to maximize the value, you spend all the points before the upcoming annual fee, and then you cancel it before that fee hits, so then you don't have to pay it.
I mean, even if you do forget, $100 is chump change compared to the value that you're
Yeah,
getting out of that card.
yeah.
So
Either way, yeah.
for sure. I know with so you obviously sound like someone who's been into the finance game or at least consumed all this information in regards to saving as much money as possible and just making sure that you're coming out on top. I mean, these banks are trying to prey on people and trying to get interest rates or I guess interest money income from these debts that people are leaving on the table, right? So obviously
Yeah.
you're not subject to that and you're not a person that is what the bank likes exactly. So I'm curious, like, how did you even start this whole frugality, getting these hacks done and the resources that you've learned along the way? How did you even start down this path? What led you down that path?
I feel like once I really consumed myself with all of like the different like finance books, like Set for Life by Scott Trench, and just kind of books like that really talk about like the importance of frugality. It kind of just also was just like common sense to me too. I mean, I wasn't always very frugal. Like my senior year, I was just kind of like, I bought like an $8,000 brand new sport bike, and just a bunch of other things like that. And then during that gap year, I sold it all. I was like, I need to sell all of this stuff and just put it all towards the house because this is way more important. And so I still, I still plan on having all the fun stuff, but I'm just kind of delaying until I have that high enough stable cash flow where now I can start dropping money on kind of fun toys.
Yeah, have your assets pay for your toys, right? I love that.
Absolutely.
With yeah, so you mentioned Set for Life and Scott Trench, beautifully written book. I love the three parts. Number one is keeping your debts down. And then number two is getting your income up. Number three is investing that difference. So
Yep.
having that lifestyle creep not come in and be a factor in your lifestyle is hugely important in like just becoming set for life, and thus the title of the book. So freaking
Yep.
love it. Any other books or resources that you want to mention for the audience before I guess I got some other points that I want to get out of you.
Not really, honestly. I mean, like some of it's just kind of common sense too, just like lower your expenses, don't spend money on what you shouldn't, I guess, and then just like really figure out exactly what is it you want to invest into. I feel like it's a lot easier to stay motivated to save that money if you know exactly what you're saving it for. Because once I knew I like, okay, I need to buy a house hack and this is exactly how much I'm gonna need, I was just like set on that. But if I didn't really know exactly what I wanted to like actually even invest the money into, I felt like I wouldn't been as motivated to really, really pinch my pennies.
For sure. And speaking of like not having to pinch your pennies and not having to, I guess, constrain yourself so much. I mean, you looked at house hacking as the next big thing for you to generate wealth and generate income at the same time. But the thing is like a lot of people might see house hacking as just like, whoa, I'm living with other roommates that are potential strangers. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
yes, it is an obvious barrier to entry. And I have some friends that are starting the whole house hacking opportunity. The thing is that they did sign a lease and everything. However, they're going in through the woes of like they're just not seriously clean people, and there's some like adverse or I guess counterpoints to house hacking. And with your girlfriend being on board with house hacking and everything like that, was there any sort of convincing that had to be done prior to you house hacking?
No, it was like, babe, we can retire by the time we're 25 years old if we want to. And she said, say no more. Let's do what we gotta do now. Yeah. Yeah, just like I don't know. I mean, it's just like for us, it's just like common sense. I mean, yeah, it was an interesting transition to be living with my parents to now five people that I got off Facebook. It was a little bit of an interesting transition. To me, it's just like completely normal now. Because we're in our second house. It's also a six-bedroom house with five roommates. We have our own like private bathroom and stuff now, so we consider that a luxury. But I mean, like what a lot of people are doing now, they just buy like, some type of duplex type of thing and like Airbnb out the other side, and sometimes that can cash flow just as much, depending on kind of the area and all that. But for right now, it's working for. I mean, we're not going to definitely be doing this forever. I mean, we're only going to be doing this a few more times, and then we just want to get our own place. But it's just like kind of that short-term sacrifice, kind of going along with frugality as well. It's also like it's not super fun to not spend your money on. I mean, we kind of opened up our expenses a little bit now, but we're still really frugal and just kind of smart with our money. But just kind of knowing, it's all going to be worth it in the end. It's only a few years, which is a really small portion out of the longevity of things.
I mean, yeah, man. Ever since you started at 19 and dedicating 6 years to the grind, it is not that big of a deal when you look at the grand scheme of things. So good on you, man. I freaking love to hear it. So you were mentioning that you are currently living in your second house hack. So you have a 4 bed, 3 bath place over in North Glen. What's your second house hack look like?
Yeah, well, a four-bedroom, it's now a six-bedroom house. We
That's right.
built two rooms more in the basement. Um, This one is actually a seven-bedroom house that it came this way. We just have one room as an office for now. Yeah, this one's in Thornton. It's like only like 10 minutes away from our other one. It's also just a little north of Denver. I got some numbers. We purchased it for 525, 5% conventional for this one. I was able to be my own realtor for this deal, so that did lower our expenses and also and then we also got some our closing costs covered as well. This one's also really turnkey. Both the houses like really need like minimal work. We're also like masters at buying really, really good deals on furniture. We furnished our first house for only like 1,500 bucks, and then this one like maybe 2,000, which is like two sets of couches, just like the whole. It's an entire house. This house is a little bit bigger. It's like 2,600 square foot, and we furnished the entire house, relatively pretty low money.
Yeah, because you mentioned you guys were couch flippers at one point in time, so
Yeah, so we kind
you
of
know the
we
value of
kind
certain couches, and we're able to do
yeah,
that.
so we got good at looking for kind of the deal. It's pretty much all like main stuff like couches and dining tables and maybe fridges. We just go with like Facebook Marketplace, because you can get a really, really good deal. Because if you like go to any furniture place, like furniture is ridiculously expensive. It's super expensive. It's thousands of dollars just for like the super basic looking couch. And so, just like small decor and stuff like that, we just get on Amazon. Amazon usually got some decent deals. But if you just uh, save some money on the couches and dining tables, that'll go a long way.
Yeah, because I know with my current short-term rental, we used Facebook Marketplace a heck a lot. I mean, a lot
Yeah,
of people were just finding
you
ways
can.
to get rid of their furniture just because they're moving somewhere and don't have a
Yeah,
truck. I'm like, yeah,
yeah,
we'll take it.
yeah, yeah. All of our stuff's like brand new quality. Like all of it's less than like 2 months old, and they are giving it away for just like basically nothing. However, it can be a little time consuming. I mean, if if I'm buying out of state property, I probably just want to buy everything new. I feel like it'd be just too complicated to try to manage that. And if you're kind of in a higher financial position, it could just make sense just to buy things new because it is a little less time consuming.
Hmm. With so you going into your second house hack, is it still the rent by the room strategy?
Yep, yep. We've still got 5 roomies right now. Things are really good. For this particular model, it's really important to pick like the right people. They kind of just like we're kind of just looking for overall friendly, professional like people. We don't have any like college students or anything like that. We have professional people like nurses, pilots, just kind of things along that.
Industry and lifestyle,
Yeah,
right?
we're also kind of focused on like a bit younger people, like max 30. I mean, I get messages from all ages, like people that are old enough to be my great grandma, but we're just just like it's like a 25-year-old is not gonna want to really have a roommate of someone that's 65. You kind of want to focus on kind of similar age groups a little bit.
Mhm. Yeah, you kind of want to have that quality of life aspect of it too. I mean, you're living in there as well, so you get to have some sort of a say of, hey, it might not be the best chemistry for everyone in the kitchen, and all that
Yeah,
good stuff. Yeah.
yeah.
So, what's it like going forward, Taylor? I mean, with you having two house hacks now, and are you planning to still have that next house hack a year from whenever you purchased the Thornton place?
Yeah, yeah, we're still going for the rent by room type of things for the next few years. Um, and then we're also really interested in short-term rentals. Um, and we're also really interested in storage units. So kind of like over time, we just want to accumulate like short-term rentals across the country, storage facilities, kind of like I guess what's like the best like opportunity at that particular moment is what we'd be going for. I mean, I don't really totally know what everything's going to look like 15 years from now, but that is kind of our current idea.
Hmm. And then with you, you're currently a realtor on the FI team. So, mind saying a little bit about why you made that transition to become a realtor, and what sort of advantages are there to working with you?
Yeah, so I was kind of over time, I was just kind of getting a lot of people texting me, just like, hey, I'm kind of interested in real estate, kind of want to guide me in the right way. And so I was kind of just referring them to realtors and things like that. Um, and then I just kind of, I guess, thought about it, and I was like, well, helping other people buy other properties for them or help selling, it just sounds something that could be interesting to me. And so, I spent, I think, only like around like 2 or 3 months in my real estate school, and then passed my test and got my license and joined the FI team to kind of mostly help other people get into real estate investing. But I do help normal home buyers and people sell their house. But I've been a real estate agent for about 6 months now, so I'm not super long into being a real estate agent, but so far I've really liked it. I mostly focus around Denver metro area, and there's just so many different kind of opportunities that are around Denver, and you can really do a bit of everything. You could buy a house, rent out the rooms, or do an Airbnb, or maybe do like a traditional duplex. I don't know. I think duplexes are pretty expensive here. Uh, but it's also just an awesome area to be in to do all of this. Yeah, I just mostly got my license to also be my own agent for my own deals, and some of the benefits. I mean, I guess there's not like a giant list of benefits of versus having your license versus not, but I mean, there's just some additional resources that us agents get that can be helpful.
Yeah, and I will say too that a couple months of studying and taking the test, and maybe these monthly fees are a little bit burdensome, but when you're saving tens of thousands of dollars on your commission on your house hack, that is pretty significant. I mean, I'll do that
Yeah,
3 months of training any day in order to have
absolutely.
that longevity and just have that as fuel for my next real estate purchase. So good on you, man. I mean, for the far future, when you are 25, where do you see yourself outside of real estate? Do you see yourself maybe still working as a firefighter till maybe 30-ish, or do you have another occupation in mind?
We'll just kind of see where the road takes us, but kind of the plan is once I am done once I'm done being a full-time firefighter, we just kind of want to just travel full time. My girlfriend and I, we just pretty much want to kind of see the whole world. There's a lot for us to still see out there. And also just being a real estate agent, accumulating more assets and properties. It's a lot of fun for me. I just like the whole idea of buying houses and providing affordable housing, or providing a fun little getaway type of property for someone. It's just like it all just sounds really fun to me. That's kind of just where I see things going from here.
Love it, dude. Absolutely love it. For anyone interested, how can people reach out to you, Taylor?
Yeah, so mostly Instagram. Let me just make sure I got the right at. It's my name is spelled a little weird. It's Taylor .dt. It's Instagram. Right, you see the profile, you'll see my name with the realtor type of thing. And that's probably the best place to reach out to me. If Yeah, if anybody's got questions on just how to get started in general, or credit card stuff, or just Denver stuff, anything like that, feel free to reach out.
I am so glad I even got to talk to you and learn about this whole travel hacking thing just because it's free for me and I already have you on board. I love it. Well,
Absolutely.
before I let you go, Taylor, any questions for me? I'll turn the mic to you.
What's your favorite thing around Denver,
For sure.
or
I
Colorado in
love food.
general?
Yeah, for sure. I love food, man.
Me too.
I have a runner's body. I feel like I eat like 3,000 calories a day, but I look like I only eat 1,000 calories a day. My legs are stilts and I run a lot, so maybe that's a reason why. But I consume a lot of food and a lot of calories, so a lot of what I do is eating or trying to find some really good places to eat. Sushi Den is excellent. Uncle Ramen is excellent. Denver Biscuit Company is excellent as well. I mean, the Hop Alley. There's just so much that, and a couple of resources that I would tell you guys is look at Westward, Best of Denver, or 5280 Magazine. They got some sick events from farmers markets to winter events, fall
Oh yeah.
events. I mean, I just can't get enough of it. And people, it's funny, like after wintertime, people come out of the woodworks almost like bears coming out from hibernation. They're like, yes,
Yeah.
finally, I get to be outside.
Yeah.
I love it. So, and everyone has a smile on their face. So, I try to find out where everyone is going and go eat things there.
Yeah. Yeah, one thing about Colorado, Denver, or the winter can sometimes kind of suck, but it can be also really pretty here in the winter.
Yeah, a lot of my friends and family are from San Diego, and they think it snows 24/7. Like, no, dude, it's just like maybe a couple days here and there from
Yeah.
November to maybe April or so. But
Yeah.
it's definitely tolerable compared to, let's say, the East Coast, the North, what have you. And but yeah, it took a little getting used to. And I remember this one day I was shoveling snow in the driveway, and it was that one day it was like 2 feet of snow one February a couple of years ago, and I was regretting every ounce of my body of being there in Denver. I was like, "F this place."
Yeah, I miss the beach.
But yeah, man, yeah. But outside of that, man, anything else?
No, just I'd say just get started. If you're looking at real estate, I say just get started and come out to Denver.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Well, thank you, Taylor. I am so excited to just have you spit out that knowledge and have the audience consume it all. So appreciate your time, man, and I'll see you on the other side.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's always fun talking to you, and I'm happy to. I hope I help somebody out with something. So.